Hello, spiritual souls. Welcome to the Cognizant Crone. We're on day three of the 365 days of vlogs, spiritual vlogs. And I still have to come up with a better name than that for it because I'm not digging it. But anyway, whatever. So today, what are we going to talk about? I think today I was kind of reflecting on this as I was setting up to record, and I'm going to touch back on day 1 and 2. So day 1, we talked about clearing the slate, right? Yesterday, we talked about spiritual practices and kind of revisiting what you do. Today, I want to talk about a related topic. I guess the other two could kind of segue into this. So stay with me, okay? You know, I talk a lot. It is what it is. So I was thinking about when you do things like you wipe a slate clean, you want a fresh start, whatever you're doing isn't working, or maybe there's an area of your life that you're not happy with or whatever. And when you're taking stock, this is a big thing, when you're taking stock of what you do, where you put your time, where you put your energy, your thoughts, right? All of these things, are you open to receiving information? Are you open to possibilities? Are you open to new ideas or new ways of thinking? I think kind of the question of this is, if you bring all of the thoughts and ideas that I'm having around this, you bring it all together, the question is, are you teachable? This is can be a really touchy subject. It's funny, I use the word subject in a Teachable video. So let's break this down a bit. Okay, so we're gonna get into this. All right. If you think about, okay, I'm gonna start with a quote. And then we'll kind of work our way back out of it. So the quote was, and I believe it might have been P.T. Barnum. Could be. It was somebody. Anyway, whatever. Said, well, two things. And I think the same guy might have said the same thing. Or it could have been Carnegie who said one of them. Anyway, one is the sucker's born every minute. And then, it's totally true. And the other thing is, it's easier to fool someone than convince them they've been fooled. And let's dive into that a little bit. And we're getting into the realm of things like nature versus nurture. So how you've been brought up, what you've been subjected to, what you've been taught overall, right? What have you been told? It's kind of where you go in life, right? So, you know, you can look at it. A great example is religion, right? So, and I'm not knocking religion. That's not why I'm bringing this in, but it's to give you a perspective of how, like, programming and your own perspective and perception can really fuel and direct the way you go in life, what paths you take, right? How you act and react. So let's break this down a bit. Okay, so I'm crossing my legs now and getting all comfy. Religion. So I'll just use myself as an example, okay? So clearly I'm on a spiritual path. Duh, that's what the channel's about, right? But I was born and raised Roman Catholic, so, you know, Catholic, Christian kind of thing, the whole God, Jesus, Mary, Joseph, Bethlehem, manger, cross, dying thing, right? And I've pretty much denounced Catholicism. It's not because I hate it, right? It's just there's a lot of it that doesn't resonate with me. There's some really awesome things in there. And that is triggering to a lot of people. That can be very triggering. This is where I'm going with this. Why? Why would anyone care that I've decided I no longer want to identify, I guess, as a Catholic, right? Like that's not who I am. It's just not what I believe anymore. And I think when it comes to people who are practicing Catholics, right, that can be triggering to some of them. Why would you leave like the best religion in the world? And I'm not saying this is like exclusive to Catholicism, right? stick in whatever religion you want, whether it's Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, Jewish, I don't care, whatever religion, stick that in there, right? Because you have these ideals around it, your perceptions, and it's part of the programming that you've grown up with since birth. That's quite often why people hang on to their traditions, right? So we're getting to the teachable part, okay? But here's the interesting thing, and I can speak to this in Catholicism. I don't know if other religions go through this or not. So if you follow a specific religion outside of Catholicism, and you have a similar practice to what I'm about to talk about, put a comment below, because I like learning about other religions and religious practices, beliefs, spiritual practices. I could have been a theologian, right? Someone who studies religion, I think, with different religions. Anyway, whatever. I could have been one of those people because I find them fascinating. So here's the thing. In the Catholic Church, usually when you're around the age, like sort of like 12 to 14, at least where I am in Canada, right? A big rite of passage per se. There's so many of them in Catholicism, but one of them is you do your confirmation. And what that is you're usually in grade school, like I said, like that age 12 to 14 in there somewhere. And basically what you're doing, it's a big thing. We put a lot of time and effort into it, and there's a ceremony involved. And it's basically you being in front of the priest. It might have been the bishop. Was the bishop at mine? I don't remember. Anyway, religious dude, right? You're saying to him, I am confirming that I choose to continue to be a Catholic. So this is kind of the time when you are like anchoring in your faith, per se, right? So I'm thinking back to my own confirmation, and stick with me, okay? Because I'm telling you, this is going somewhere about the teachability. And it is an interesting story and an interesting way of looking at things. So I vaguely remember, because believe me, when I was 13, that was a long time ago. I vaguely remember, like, you do all the religious stuff and you talk and you do things and whatever. And I did go through with my confirmation, mostly because I wanted to go to a Catholic high school, so you had to be confirmed to do that. Anyway, but I remember thinking, I'm just doing this as a rite of passage. Like, I never really felt like, oh my gosh, I'm totally embracing and committing to Catholicism. Never felt that at all. I was like, yeah, I'm Catholic, whatever. Let's just keep going with it. There was never a burning desire or anchoring in of my faith. There never was, right? And that's, I'm not shaming myself for that. I hope nobody else does either, because I think a lot of people just kind of do it because you're going with the flow, and it's what you know, and it's what you've been taught. And I just remember thinking about it, looking back, going, I think that is the type of ceremony or commitment that shouldn't be left to a child. Because when you're 14, you're still a child. Under 30, you're pretty much a child. 25 for sure. Even though you're an adult, you're still, you usually, most people, I'm going to generalize here, most people don't have a ton of life experience before they hit the age of 25 to 30, right? You're really starting to accumulate life lessons and experience by then. So having said that, why would you ask a child to decide to make that big a commitment? Well, if you think about it, because if you're a kid, you're going to do what you're told, pretty much, right? Like it's easier to coerce a child into doing something like that. And I'm not saying from a nefarious way, but it's just like, oh, we're all doing our confirmation, this year, grade 7. Yeah, mine was grade 7, I think. So we're all doing confirmation, and there was never really a question of, do you want to? It's just, yeah, we're doing this, and we all just went along and did it, right? Now, I'm sure there were some kids maybe who questioned it, and I remember questioning my faith after the fact. And to me, here's the thing. Let's talk. This is going a bit on a tangent, and I didn't really want to get into faith, a faith discussion, but I think this is going to be a good talk. People who just go along with how they've grown up and what they know from a religious, we'll just talk about religion, right? A religious perspective. I think if you never question your faith and go, I was thinking about this whole, immaculate conception, son of God thing. Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. I don't know. I'm not saying they're lying. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but I question it. When you question, this is my experience, when you question your faith, I think that makes it stronger. That is your confirmation. When you start really questioning your faith, like, I'm not sure how I feel about this stuff, it can push you either way. It'll push you deeper into your faith, or it'll remove you from it because you realize it doesn't resonate with you. So I still don't think that decision should be given to someone so young. I think that's kind of something you should do when you're older, but whatever. It is what it is. Okay. Here's where I'm going. I recently heard of know someone whose child, their class or whatever was getting ready for the confirmation, and the child just backed out and decided not to do it. Because unlike when I was growing up, and whoever this priest was, who was, like talking to the kids about the confirmation through the whole process and everything, said, you don't have to do this. And I don't think we were ever told that. Not that we couldn't have, but that's not really put out there. And I think that if that was put out there more, I wonder if kids really would maybe put a little more thought into it, like, and ask the questions of, like I said, well, the Immaculate Conception, like, is that a real thing? Like, get into the logistics of, we are human beings, and what if I don't believe that happened? What if I'm not sure? Blah, blah, blah. Sometimes it anchors you in more, and sometimes it takes you away. I don't think either is bad. It's subjective, right? It's up to the individual. Every person is different. You have to do what resonates with you and what's right with you. Like I said, ultimately, I denounced Catholicism, when I was in my early 40s or mid 40s, whatever it was, like 10, 12 years ago, something, well, probably 10 years ago, whatever, doesn't matter. But there are things about Catholicism that I do like. There are things about Hinduism I like. There are things about Wicca I like. There's things about the Muslim religion that I like. There's all kinds of bits and pieces. I used to joke, and I'm almost half serious, like, I'm going to pick all the stuff I like from all the different religions and make my own. To me, that's a spiritual practice, right? There's some really cool stuff out there. Do you have to believe everything? No. But do you have to believe everything to stay in your own religion that, you kind of grew up with? I don't think so. It's up to you. Do what you want. So with being teachable, like I said, being indoctrinated into a religion, like I said, it's a form of programming. And I'm not saying this from a point of throwing shade. There's no judgment here, right? It's just, that is the way it is. No different than, it's programming when you grow up in the household you grow up in. It's, this is the way we live in the house. These are the times we eat the meals. These are how we split up the chores, whatever you want to call it, right? And from a religious perspective, being teachable, I think, brings up the fact of going back to this, maybe you should question everything to seal the deal, right? Just to be sure, and clarify some things that you want to. And even more important, if you're triggered by someone else's religion or lack of religion or change in religion, if there's a trigger there, that might be a sign that you might be unteachable, because you have this unwavering faith, which is a good thing. That's great if that works for you. But when there is judgment of others because they don't fall in line, you're not open-minded enough, right? To accept them as a brother, sister, part of the big one divine group of us, right? All of us in our big sparkly pink bubble, right? If you don't know what that is, watch day 2. I'll link it at the end of the video, but my sparkly pink bubble. So being teachable, it's being open-minded, right? Be a sponge. Soak up whatever information you can. If something triggers you or you don't like the sound of it, dig into it. You know, if someone's talking about their religion or their, I don't know, whatever. Let's talk about all the things that people fight about now. Religion, race, color, sexuality, blah, blah, blah. Who cares about any of it? Who cares? Who cares who's what? Just love everyone. It doesn't matter, right? We're all a spark of the divine. We all come from the same place. So who cares? Whatever, right? See if you're open to being teachable. See if you're really open to learning. Because when you are, that wiping of the slate clean I talked about on day 1, and the cleaning up of spiritual practices on day 2, the teachable part is really important, because then you can allow more to come in. Be that antenna, be the receptor, have stuff coming in and pouring in, and enjoy the process. What are you going to learn, right? When you're teachable and you're open-minded, it's a beautiful thing, right? And like if you're the type of person who you're following a religion, a specific religion, and you love your religion and you're very knowledgeable, even if you're not, even if you just know bits and pieces, share, right? Share about your religion, talk to people about your religion, and learn about theirs, right? I'm not saying go beat everyone over the head to listen to what you have to say about your religion, but, you know, be open to the dialogue and conversations. You just never know what you're going to learn. It doesn't mean anything. It just means you've learned something new, right? A different perspective. And maybe if you're like me and you got your little religion bag and you're collecting bits and pieces and throwing it in, maybe you'll have new bits and pieces to throw into your bag, right? So there you go. I know, kind of goofy, but the teachability piece, it's like the things that I might have been closed off to in the past have really changed. Like, I'm so much more open-minded. I was always pretty open-minded, but I had my opinions and my judgments, as we all do. Okay, me maybe more so than some. Not so much anymore, but they're still there, right? But learn. Be open to learning. And you can take so much of what you've learned from others and elevate your own life, right? Just by having that knowledge. And we talked yesterday about wanting to have a better life. Well, teaching and learning, especially when it's reciprocal, you're doing it back and forth, even better. What a beautiful gift to give someone and to receive as well. All right, I'm going to leave it there. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you've gotten this far and you've seen videos before, you know what I'm going to say. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, because it helps the YouTube algorithm. And I want to get the channel growing, right? Let's do some fun stuff. And speaking of fun stuff, day 11, you're not going to want to miss it. We're going to have some fun. We're going to have some fun every day. We're really going to have some fun on the 11th day. All right, we're leaving it there. So take care, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.